All right, so in the interest of time, let's sit down and get ready for the next workshop, please. So I have with me John Gatula and Shelley Hunt, and these are actually two veterans. I remember we were in the very first workshop when this thing started. They're both from SAS, and they're going to introduce how to build an ag-knowledgeable chat box. All right, chatbot. Yeah. All right. Floor is yours.
Oh, this is mine. All right. Hey, everybody. I hope we are so excited to get started. I am going to grab your attention. Right now, please stand up. You've been sitting in these seats for a long while. We are the last workshop of the day before lunch, and I understand how difficult that is. We might have a bit of eye glaze going on. Our brains need a little brain break. Cameraman, I'm going to be running around. I'm so sorry about that in advance. And everyone online, hello. Thank you for sticking around here to this hybrid event and watching here. We do have the chat we will be monitoring. During this activity, if you want to put something in about yourself, like where you're watching and tuning in from today, we would love to hear from our online participants. But everyone else here in the room, we're going to get a little bit of just movement and stretching going this morning. So I want to know some questions about you all, and we're just going to answer by moving to one side of the room or the other. So first up, what's your favorite method of sharing your research or your knowledge? Is it public speaking or written communication? I like public speaking, so get up and let's move around the actual room. All right, team public speaking over here. But if you like both, you can stand in the middle. All right, this is surprising. A lot of people like public speaking. There's a good bit in the middle here, so I like that. All right, what about our next question? How do you work best? Independently or as a team? Both, you can stay in the middle again. I'm a team player. I'm coming to the team side.
High five.
Yeah, teamwork. I'm seeing lots of team players in the room today, a good bit of both kind of hybrid workers perhaps, and a few of our awesome independent thinkers that probably just do best heads down on keyboard. All right, John, can you advance us, please? I think we got two more of these. Oh, which do you prefer regarding data science projects? Do you like coding or concepts? Are you in the weeds, getting that code, doing the debugging? Or do you like the theory? I'm a concepts person myself. John, you're a coder? It's flipped on the presenter view, so you might have given all wrong answers. All right, and we have one last one. Which would you describe your background if you had to? Data science or agriculture? Or in the middle? I would call myself more agriculture, I think. You're outside. Okay, he's just gone. John's also agriculture. Yeah, I know my background, I was at NC State University. I did ag engineering, and I just did all things agriculture, and I didn't find data science until grad school. So, all right, thank you so much. I believe that's our last question. You can return to your seats. Thank you so much for entertaining me and participating in the activity willingly. Much appreciated. So it's currently 10:35. We have our agenda of events today. We've got our Kickstarter and intros. Then we're going to go into a bit of an acronym soup. NLP, RAG, LLMs, all those acronyms that you know of and maybe you don't know of. We're going to just have a little bit of a discussion about it. We will get to a point where we will get hands-on. And so, if you signed up for this event, You should have gotten an email from like a basic SAS system at some point inviting you to log on to this Engage environment, it's called. Yeah. So if you search your email, maybe search your spam, there's a generic kind of automated message from SAS that will get you credentials and logged into our SAS Viya environment. So for the purpose of this workshop, we did create that environment. It will only be up for a few days. You won't have lasting access to it because we got to pay a cloud bill for that to Azure. But yeah, we will have time to do that, and then we'll get on to the hands-on portion. So you kind of know a lot about me because I was running around the room answering questions too, but I'm Shelly Hunt. I'm from SAS Institute. Long-time attendee of this conference. I was here at the first one. I was here at the second one. The third one, I was on maternity leave. I hated to miss that one, but I'm here at the fourth one, and I'll probably be at the fifth one because I live and work in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am a 3-time graduate from NC State University. I've got background in mathematics, ag engineering, and then ag data science, and that's kind of basically what I do working at SAS now. I would call myself an ag data scientist. What about you, John? Oh, I was going to say, I wanted to ask John, what's one fun thing he's working on at work right now? I've talked a lot, so there you go. That's my question to you.
Thank you so much, Shelly. And thank you all for being here. And thank you especially to Dr. Gentimus and the steering committee here, and Dr. Thomason and everyone at Mississippi State, the folks in the background, but very much at the front putting this on. Thank you all so much. I'm Dr. John Gatula. I've worked at SAS for 5 years and have been in the ag industry before that, working for basic chemical and seed manufacturers. My background is not in data science and statistics. I came to it late, but came to it strongly because our products, as I hope you will agree, make data science accessible to those of us with subject matter expertise. And so, what projects am I working on? I am tracking animal antimicrobial resistance throughout the country. I am doing econometric analyses of the effect of GMO approvals on meat availability in Kenya. I am analyzing food and nutrition data sets across America to support the federal government and the Department of Health and Human Services in their efforts to make America healthy again. Every day is different for me here at SAS, and it's because of the automated techniques that our software provides and the accessibility due to lack of coding, for a lack of coding person, that opens up the world to me to be able to input my expertise into it in a way that's meaningful every day. So I really like what I do. This workshop, to give you a preview of what you'll be doing. Is that good? Yeah, cool. Is we are going to because the subject of this conference is AI automation in agriculture and socioeconomic effects. What we're going to do is we're going to be building a chatbot about just that for the Mississippi Delta. And so what we did in this, essentially a cooking show, we downloaded 140 PDFs from a systematic literature review about AI and automation in agriculture in the Mississippi Delta, and we're going to explore those PDFs to understand socioeconomic effects. Not just querying the word where we see socioeconomic, because 9 times out of 10, if you hear socioeconomic, it's connected with a bunch of fluff stuff. What we really care about is the effects on people and the effects on livelihoods. So that's what we're going to do to build the chatbot, to find out what exactly is going on with AI in agriculture around here in Mississippi. We're going to do that together. Okay, there's a company called Leaf Agriculture and a CEO, Bailey Stockdale, who's been running tests of LLMs, and pretty much every LLM under the sun now has been tested against the Certified Crop Advisor exam. The Certified Crop Advisor exam, so if you see someone with a CCA behind their name, they're a certified crop agronomist. And it's a very prestigious certification to have. It tells a grower that this person can be trusted to come in and tell me how to manage my field, manage my farm operation, give me qualified advice. And I believe it takes an 80 for a passing score for this CCA exam. Does anyone know for sure, by the way? Has anyone taken this CCA? Anyway, it's not a trivial exam. They ask you every question kind of under the sun for your region about fertilizer, seed choice, AI tools that are available, that type of thing. Most of the LLMs now can pass the CCA exam. So on one hand, for those of you who went to the data science side of the room, what side was that? That was this side. Good job. We did it. We are there. For those of us like me who went to the agriculture side of the room, why do you need us anymore? What can we do? What is the validity of this research data and this master's degree and this certified credential when a grower can query a pre-built chatbot, not trained on anything ag data knowledgeable specifically, just trained on the internet, and get the same quality of answers, at least on paper, that a highly skilled professional can? What is it? So the questions I'd like you to think of as we go through this are, where do you use large language models? What issues have you found with large language models? And then very important to me as someone who spent more years than I care to admit attempting to earn a doctorate, how does research data relate to large language models? And certainly, the work that has gone on with ExtensionBot addresses that very directly. We're going to go a little bit more into the details of precisely how that's done, precisely what decision metrics one can take, and how one can input their own research data on oftentimes a very specific subject to augment what a large language model can deliver. All right. So the challenges of building a chatbot are understanding, what is actually being asked, right? What is actually needed by the end user? And then producing a result that is in context, useful, with the correct grammatical form, and conversational. Can you recall a time when you've interacted with a chatbot that didn't understand your request? I remember being on a call center, like on an automated line once. I don't know if it was like T-Mobile or my power bill or whatever. And they were asking me this question like, what is your address? And I would give them a number in just as plain English as I could in my Texican slang. Right? And, oh, sorry, we didn't understand. Oh, sorry, we didn't understand. Like, what? I'm yelling it in the phone. I think we've all been through experiences where a chatbot didn't understand us. That's a verbal example, but when language is rendered into written form, the same sorts of miscommunications do apply. All right. So what makes a chatbot possible, right? This is the transition to the workshop area. For every IT organization today, and we work with 21 of the top 25 ag companies, for every IT organization today, you ask a CEO, like the CIOs, Chief Information Officers, usually like have a subtler view on it, but for each CEO, they are thinking of natural language generation. They're thinking of LLMs, and that's what it all comes down to, right? The creative storytelling that we all know from ChatGPT, which is a highly enabling technology. Meta fired a giant tranche of their coders recently because large language models can code as well as a median coder in their estimation. And so the generative process does very well. But what is not as well appreciated is the need to be able to narrow down the brooks of information, such as from the internet, or such as from a research program, or from articles, to be able to crisply define the points that are then generated in a large language model. That's where natural language processing and natural language understanding comes in. Combine that with machine learning to automate it, you have a result, you have a chatbot that is not only generative and kind of meets you where you're at in terms of how it answers the question, but it also can very crisply and precisely define the point in a way that doesn't hallucinate. All right. Another way to view this is that maybe machine learning just isn't enough. Maybe you need to combine it with things like linguistic rules, especially in agriculture, where there is so much nuance, right? And we know this well. We know the nuance of the language involved. I mean, just take very simple examples of words in agriculture that have dual meaning. Crop, AI. What do you think of when you think of AI?
Artificial insemination.
No, it's active ingredient. Avian influenza, good. Grammarly, which uses AI, right? They like spell check your work. They will flag the word chicks as sexist. Not good for a poultry producer. So anyway, combining linguistic rules with machine learning to create LLMs, to create a chatbot, can be a way to make the chatbot more effective than simply using an LLM. And maybe that isn't needed to pass the certified crop advisor exam today, right? With many of them, with ChatGPT 4o Mini, passing at a 93, an astounding 93. But maybe this provides an opportunity for us as an industry to level up where we're at and make it level up our expectations of what a crop advisor can do, now empowered with this information. All right. So we talked a lot earlier about information extraction, things like vectorizing and creating embeddings, ultimately to create concepts, to define concepts within a document, within a corpus of language that can then be queried. The other side of the coin is that you can use statistical word associations to create topics of what different documents or queries or pieces of information talk about, and then use those statistical associations to input into a probabilistic model, right alongside things like numerical data, rating data, things that could be parameterized in, for example, an ANOVA. Today we're going to keep it relatively simple and talk about creating concepts so that you can filter down a broad base of information into a few well-defined subjects, that is the socioeconomic effects of AI in the Mississippi Delta, to then in turn better prompt a large language model to give you the answer, the crisp and confident answer that you're looking for. Running out of time.
I want to stay on schedule.
All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to go into SAS visual text analytics shortly, and yes, and show you how to do this. Okay.
All right. Before we get to our session where we get into the hands-on and have a little moment to ensure everyone's able to log in who wants to participate today, I'll kind of bring up this conversation about RAG, R-A-G, Retrieval Augmented Generation. So like John just said, we're going to use NLP, natural language processing, to kind of move away from all the fluff that we will see in large research articles and journal pieces. And we want to use that to inform our LLM chatbot. So essentially, we have the secret sauce that's going to serve as an intermediate part, because I could go and download 147 PDFs, which we did. How long is it going to take me to read all of those? Too long. I can copy and paste all the text from those 147 PDF articles, add it to my prompt to an LLM, and then say, hey, help me answer these questions. I will probably get an error message saying I'm trying to pass too many tokens, or something to that effect, or I won't be able to copy it all into the chat box window. Yeah, head nods. So where's the middle ground? How do we kind of do this optimization process to help get us there in a timely manner, but then also pull out the helpful things? So that's what we're going to do today, hands-on. We're all going to start with 147 scraped PDFs that are in a database now, and kind of pull out these key distinct points. So if I had to explain RAG to like a farmer or a producer or someone who just isn't their thing, I'll say, okay, you've probably interacted with ChatGPT before. That's a large language model. That's a generative model. So it's you. You have a question. You send over a question. It thinks. It gives you a response. If we want this to be ag knowledgeable, we send the question over. But we also have our knowledge, our ag knowledge, this book with the piece of maize in it. This is kind of what we are also providing along with it, that snippet of information that's gleaned down from our larger data. It's then able to make a much more informed decision, reduce hallucinations, and then we get a happy user. So now we will move on to the hands-on piece of using visual text analytics to do some nonlinear programming to get our data pre-processed and ready to go for this RAG process. So all of you all should have gotten an email yesterday, or I sent out a reminder one today through this automated SAS support email asking you to kind of join this engage environment, it's called. And so now we have a quick break at 11 a.m. We are going to get hands on the keyboard going. So until then, you can get set up and ready to go in the environment. If you're having any issues, we'll be floating the room, but at 11, we will get going. So please raise your hands if you need any help. This would have been sent to the email you used to sign up for this workshop. If you don't have this email, maybe you can give the email to us, and if you're online, maybe if you want to chat your email to us, I can see if I can add you to the system. Perfect, okay, let's go float the rooms.
Shelley, shall I pull up the environment to show if they can see your log on?
I might need it to actually manage the environment. No problem. Yes.
How about
Do you have access to the Engage? Oh, yeah, like you put, okay. I'm going to float and give everyone access.
Shall we get you fixed up?
All right, if you can get your email in here, I need a...
Do you need log on? You need that, okay. You'll follow. Actually. Excuse me for interrupting conversations. What you see on the screen should be the successful destination of your logon. So if you see a blue screen with similar to this with a prompt to enter the environment, you're on the right track. I'll just open up a new page. this should be the page. So we have the screen, and the blue screen in the background is more or less what you should be seeing upon successful logon. So if you're getting something different, maybe something with pink and gray, that's probably not correct. It needs to be a blue logon prompt. And then if Shelly has your email and you've received the emails, then this is the URL link that's an alternative method to navigate here versus just clicking the same link in the emails. So any troubleshooting? Because if you check out now, we can't help you much. But we can still be friends, no matter what. Yes?
have to go back to that. I have to go back to my Engage.
All right, everyone, we're about to get started.
I think at this point, if you're still having trouble, maybe if you're successfully in, raise your hand. Let's pair up. Okay, so everyone in the center table here. Please go find a partner to work with if you're unable to get in. We have a hand over here.
This is what those of us who teach, with the front and center being more successful, this is what we call the grade gradient.
Okay, if you want to add those here. So if you're successfully logged in, you should see a landing page for your environment that looks like this. And I did see this screen on a few of y'all's computers, so that's a great sign. We have a click path that walks you through exactly everything we're about to do now. So if you're one of the unfortunate few who couldn't make it in time, you have the rest of this day and maybe the rest of the tomorrow to use this environment. You can do a lot more in here than just what we're going to go through. This is SAS Via. It's our extensive platform for all things cloud-based analytics, from importing data, database management and connection, understanding what I have, to exploratory data analysis. You can make some really cool reports and dashboards. And these are all tools here that are included in this web-based app. And on this landing page here, if you want to come back at some point and peruse these options, there's little kind of introductory videos to each of these things. If you're an old-time SAS coder, that is SAS Studio, and you can still use SAS programming in here. If you are a Python coder, we can do Python integration, and we'll show that a little later on today. There's also, if you don't code at all, there's drag and drop UI-based options. Today we're going to go into Model Studio, which is this kind of second to last box here, where we can go and use a virtual interface to build analytical models. So if you're still on this page with me, we are going to go and click this Build Models option here. If you click on the picture, it might start playing a video, and you can just say, oh, I don't want to watch this video. I'm going to go to the Build Models blue button here. An alternate way of accessing Model Studio, Build Models, on the top left hand of your screen, I have a laser pointer. So up here, we see these 9 little gridded buttons. You can click on that to kind of get a list of tools that we can use to do data science projects. And we are doing build models. That's an alternate way of getting to this platform page. At any point, please raise hands if you're confused. Work together in groups. John will be walking around today to assist out in the audience for me as I kind of run the show here. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new project. There is this, if you follow my mouse, a new project button in the upper right-hand side of my screen. I will laser pointer it. So let's click that. All right, and now we're going to name our project and do some different project information. So if you can name this, perhaps, NLP pipeline, with your initials. We just want to make sure it has a unique name because we're going to be able to see everyone's projects here. You can see that me and John already have things here that we've done before. So I'll show that one more time because I'm going to switch to my computer because I like it better than John's computer. And he is floating a room. Again, if you have any questions, put it in the chat too. We are watching the chat. For those of you hybrid online, if you put your email in the chat, we did. Can you put the chat back up on your computer?
I have it on my phone.
Oh, on your phone, okay. All right, let me make sure I am going to mirror my screen. All right, we're back at it in my preferred computer. So again, we are at Build Models. Click these 9 dots up here, go to Build Models. We're creating a new project, so come up and hit New Project. And so this is where we are at. We're going to name it something about NLP, Workshop, Analytics with your unique name or initials. The next option that we see here, there's a drop-down list. It wants to know the type of analytical project we're going to be doing. If I was doing anything with transactional data or kind of numerical data that's structured, I would do data mining. If I'm doing time series forecasting, I would do forecasting. But today we want to make sure this is set to text analytics. So that's important step number 1, that we are creating a text analytics project. Step number 2, we want to use a specific template. So I come over and I'm going to click Browse next to Template. And you should be able to see or search for one that is called AI Ag 2025 Workshop. I will left click it and confirm by hitting OK. So make sure you browse for the template AI Ag 2025 Workshop. Yeah, and then yep, the default type up here is data mining, but make sure you are changing this to text analytics. And then you have your template. Next up, we have to add in the data. So I'm not going to make you all web scrape 142 PDFs. I did that for you, but it's really simple. It's one line of, well, it's one code step within SAS. But I am going over here to this next option, data, the browse button. I will hit that again. And let's see what pops up. So we're looking for a data set called PDF data. And it's one of the first ones that pops up for me, as it should for you too. It's called PDF data. I will left click it and hit OK to import that into my project. All right, if you're not seeing the template, are they in text analytics and they still can't see the template? Who here doesn't have the template? Show of hands. John says some of y'all can't find it. Is John a liar? He might be a liar.
It'll work. The workshop will work.
Yeah, it'll work either way. It's not horrible if you can't use the exact template. Okay, so we've got the new project ready to go. Once you've verified all of these options, we will hit save. Show of hands, like thumbs up. Who's ready to proceed? All right, awesome. I'm taking too long. Great. We pride ourselves. We've never lost a participant in one of our hands-on workshops, as far as we know. But we 100% guaranteed finish rate for those who are dedicated to doing a workshop with us. As we're creating the project, I will give you the small text that plays at the end of the commercial really fast. You might notice some lagging in the environment today, might be a little slow. Please know that we have a lot of folks in this trial environment. It doesn't reflect poorly on our environment, it's just amount of Kubernetes nodes that we're gonna purchase behind the scenes to make sure this is running really fast, and we have the budget for 1,000 Kubernetes nodes to make this run like a snap. If you were using a real deployment of SAS Viya that is properly scaled for your organization, it would be working a lot faster. But we are kind of pushing the limits on amount of people we have in here right now in one of our demo environments. It's working pretty good so far, though, so I'm happy with myself. Okay. Is anyone here yet? Thumbs up? Not as many thumbs up. Who's not here? There's a few. It's probably still just loading. Anytime if you need me to slow down or repeat myself, just shout out, Shelly, slow down. So when you create the project, our first thing we're seeing is kind of like a table. We see variable names, we see the type of variable, role. This is all of the metadata associated with my data set. So the content column has the scraped information from the PDF file. It's a little messy, it's not formatted perfectly, but it does have all the information that came from that peer-reviewed journal article. And so I want to click the box next to content because we want to let the system know this is the text data we're going to be mining. And to let it know that, I have to change the role of this variable. And so once I have it selected, on the right-hand side of my screen here, I see there is a drop-down box that I can change the role of this variable. And I'm going to make this a text role. And that's not like a common standardized way of talking about data word text mining. This is just a SAS label that we have in this case. So I'm just letting it know by making it role text, we are just saying this is what the data we're mining. Okay. This is all you have to do. There's a few other options that pop up now, like the language. This software supports 33 languages, so if you have research or want to do research on any other subject that you might not have that data in English, no problem. In this case, we are using only English manuscripts, so we're just not going to touch anything else here. The only thing we did on this screen is change the role of content. All right. Seeing no objections or hand raised, we're going to move on. Ooh. So a question from the audience, does it have to be a PDF data or just text data? What type of data can we upload? SAS file can handle basically any data. It could be an image file, it could be a nice structured data, or it could be unstructured data. And that's kind of what we are working with here to be able to get to this point in Model Studio and Model Builder. It had to have some sort of structure added to it, and I was able to do that beforehand in code really quick. Okay, so the next step, we're gonna click pipelines. Right there. It's this next tab to the right of data at the top of my screen. I click pipelines and we should see our pipeline template. So we like pipelines a lot at SAS. If you look at a lot of our other no-code, low-code options of doing data analytics and data science, you see lots of pipelines. And it's really fun and easy to work with instead of just staring at a big wall of text. I mean, I'm not a VTA or text analytics expert in any means, but this kind of just from looking at this basic diagram, I can help understand what's going on. And it's a good way of expressing that with our shareholders or stakeholders. So we have a data step, and even if I hover over it, it tells me what's happening. It's just preparing and initializing the data for use. The next step is text parsing, prepares the term for term analysis, concepts, extracts specific information from text. Oh no, my HDMI cord, it's back. All right, so John alluded to in our presentation, we're working with what's called concepts. And again, that's just a SAS term. Don't worry about memorizing what these means. Just look at this description here. Extract specific information from text. That is the text mining that we are doing to be able to distill out that important information we want to be able to pass on to our chatbot. So everything's set up, and what we can do now is just hit run pipeline. So it's this little button on the right-hand side of your screen. Run pipeline, go ahead and hit that. And I'm interested to see how the environment does with 60 plus people hitting run pipeline. At once, question. Ooh, that's a great question. So the code I used, the question to repeat for everyone, will this also pull in data from the tables and the graphs that were available in the manuscripts? And so kind of is my answer. So if there was text involved in any of those documents, it will pull out the text. If it was just images, it won't, because I used a method called OCR, optical character recognition. It's going in and it's basically a computer vision model that searches for letters or text, or special characters or numbers. This specific model isn't looking for images or graphs. So I basically just copied all of the letters or those special characters or letter characters from the PDFs, and it put them in the same order they appeared on the page, but we did lose some information in the graphs and whatnot. Yeah. Good question. Yes, another question. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. So I'll repeat the question for everyone. So talking about the concept nodes, is it smart enough to go in there and pick out concepts or major themes and keywords in my data? And then if so, can I go in and kind of validate that? And if there's a crazy concept that I know isn't in my input data, like Bugs Bunny, can I squash that and get it out of there? And the answer is yes. So out of the box, it can include predefined concepts. So there are about 20 or so predefined concepts that it will look for if I had checked this box here on the right to include predefined concepts. I didn't, because the predefined concepts have to do with non-agriculture things, honestly. It's a lot of, it will look for like names, people-specific locations, like medical things, financial things, and there's some good concepts in there, but they're not all super useful. So we will go in and create our own concepts, and because we are specifically looking for socioeconomic concepts, we'll go in and we're going to go through the process of kind of doing that. The next node, called topics, does something really cool. It kind of takes apart those keywords that we kind of collected from the data in the text parsing node, and it automatically groups them together based on how statistically significant they are to other words. How often do they pair together with other words? How often are they kind of in the same context? And in that case, we can kind of see it tries to make these themes and categories that we see in themes in our text. And they're not always perfect, but there is options to go in there and edit it. So I'm still having a circle spinning over text parsing. Anyone have a green check yet? Green checks! I'm the only one running slow.
You started late.
I started late. All right. Well, for those of you who see text parsing, this is where I can go to the click path. So we can right-click on any of these nodes and go to hit open. I would love you all to explore text parsing first. I know this screenshot has concepts bolded, but if you can go in and explore text parsing, you will kind of see what's going on. You'll have two boxes in front of you. The one on the left are key terms it's keeping. You'll see one of the top ones is et al. I can guarantee you it's going to be et al. Because these are all research papers. Everyone uses citations. That probably will be one of the top terms. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you might see a box of words that are filler and fluff that the model has automatically deemed not worthy, not really of consequence. But sometimes it doesn't get it right. It might throw out what it believes is a filler word that for us is important. And so this is kind of where we can go in and validate this building block where we're looking at word by word, what we're going to use to build our concepts. This is the screen you can do that if you have the text parsing node active. Oh, I can open it. Let's do this together. So text parsing, you can right-click it, go to open. And so out of the gate, there it is, et al., number one word. In my case, I'm going to consider that kind of a filler word. Like, it's not going to help train my ag bot to be able to answer my questions, right? And this could be up to your discretion. If you really want to keep it, you can. I want to drop this term.
Who knows what et al. Stands for? And the others. But what's the original, like what's the full Latin name? That's an abbreviation. Et alii. 2 eyes.
That's your nerd fact of the day.
For natural language processing, it represents a couple of things, right? It represents a discrete meaning of something, that means something special to us academics. But as an abbreviation, it also represents the stem or the root of a term. And so natural language processing can stem and categorize things at a scale that no human can. Not even a judge with a repertoire of 60,000 words can do as well as we can in these 50 minutes.
All right. So as John was talking, I just searched in the drop terms. There are some interesting terms that it drops, and it could be because they are not as frequently seen. Like, for example, the subsoil was found in 3 documents of the 147 we were looking at. But maybe in this case, that is important to us, and we need to go back and add it in and let it know it's not fluff, it's not filler. These have soil texture categories. That is something that has meaning, and we want to be able to access that type of information. And so mine is still running, so I can't add it back in, but if I was to right-click and hit Keep Terms, I could. On the bottom of the screen here, too, we can also look at what was scraped in from all of our PDFs. So in the content here, it has the first journal article we're looking at, and you can read it in its entirety if you really want to. Oh, cool. All right, switching back to John's computer because mine's slow. Oh, it's back up now. I really like mine. True, okay. Here, move this. All right, so I'm gonna get out of the text parsing by hitting close up here. Oh yeah, John reminded me to look at a term map. So I'm gonna go ahead and you can explore this at your leisure if you want as well. But in our kept terms, I'm gonna look at one like water. When I have it highlighted, there's this little icon at the top of my table that pops up. It kind of looks like a network diagram almost. And this is the term map. I'm laser lighting it. If I click into this term map.
And who's lost?
No one's lost, yeah. Thank you, so proud of you all. So I chose one of my terms. You can choose a different term if you would like. You don't have to do water, but I'm looking at water here, and it's created this cool like network diagram, and it's called a term map. Do you know more about this? Can you explain more? Because you're the one who found it the other day.
Well, it's essentially pulling out word associations within not only the corpus of documents. There are only 140 PDFs, so that's a pretty low sample size on a manuscript by manuscript basis. But within the PDF, every time water is used within a given kind of token, right, either a sentence or a paragraph, within a discrete unit of language, what other words seem to be associated with water, and then what words are kind of never associated with water that are used elsewhere. And so, and not only the words themselves, but the stems of the words. So you see ecol, you see sen, rev, so those are all stems of words. So a stem could be like a suffix or a prefix, for example. And also the parts of speech of the word. And so you see water again. The reason you see water twice in this diagram is once we are working with the word water as a noun, but we are also working with the word water as a proper noun. What would be an example of water as a proper noun? The Journal of Water and Irrigation Science, where water is capitalized as a proper noun. And so this term map helps you define the word relationships so that you can then make judgments about which terms to keep, which terms to drop, so that you will automatically, automatically define the concepts in a way that are most meaningful to you and your kind of by the moment objective.
All right, John. Well, again, if you have trouble, John's going. He's going to get his steps in today. All right, so if you followed along to look into a term map for one of the terms, you can exit that by hitting close in the top right here. And then also close out of the text parsing node too. If you made a change, you might no longer see a green check mark next to the node for text parsing or the other ones. And so that just means you made changes to the model and the model has to rerun. So, yeah. So now that we're in this pipeline view, we can run pipeline again by hitting run pipeline. Again. And depending on how long that run takes and how many people are running and trying to eat up our worker nodes may happen for various lengths of time, but hopefully you can work with neighbors at your table if you are stuck in a running loop. I'm going to right-click on concepts now and take a look at this. So right-click and open. There's those pesky predefined concepts. We did keep them. That's okay. So these are predefined concepts that were created, and maybe for this case it could be helpful. I'm not seeing many matches. Okay, Thomas. Yeah. So this is John's pipeline that he had already created. So in here, he has some custom concepts already created. So we can just take a look at this. Essentially, you're going to see some code in the middle of the screen. And this is LITI syntax. If you're familiar with linguistic coding at all, if not, no worries, because with the click of the button, this thing can create the code and refine your code for you. So I personally have no idea how to do LITI code. So if you see this code, don't freak out.
Who has? Either here or online, who's worked with LITI rules? So there are like zero NLP mavens in here.
No linguistics majors at an AI and Ag conference, huh?
And if I may interject here, I mean, one of the it's just kind of a simple ag guy. who also doesn't do natural language processing every day, we always come across data sets with some sort of comment, right? There's a comment in the data set like, oh, the tractor hit the plot, or, the field was flooded, or it was a hot, dry summer followed by a cool, wet winter, right? Have y'all seen comments like that in your data set? Right? Even things like describe your soil properties, and the designer of the experiment didn't create a data form with a pick list in it. And so people enter their free text, sandy loam soil, the word loose soil, right? Moist and loamy, or whatever. You can use tools like this to be able to automatically extract information at scale, just so you can continue with your day. It makes it really easy to deal with hard to categorize text data, hard to encode text data, and do it in just a few minutes without an LLM ever entering into the process.
I guess I can hold it. Question, yeah, no problem.
So some of the data set, as you mentioned, that it doesn't work with that image.
Yeah.
And some of the data set are scanned document format, especially, for example, some of the very historical census of
Yes. Yes.
type. So is there a way we can also extract this?
Yes. So the question is, what if I have really old data that was maybe handwritten, or like we have scanned in documents from the field or something? And I've worked with many producers who they do data collection in a notebook or like a piece of paper that's taped in the cold storage room, and they just have a little like pen and they add notes to it. The answer is yes. So if we have the scanned in images, we're able to have them into some sort of central repository or database. We can do OCR to be able to pull in meaningful and extract text information. It's not always perfect, especially if it's handwritten. There are models out there that are all about kind of reading in text data from handwritten notes. Another question? Oh, problem. Troubleshooting. Okay. Why?
I couldn't see some of the concepts.
Ah, okay. I deleted them on purpose. John's messing with my stuff. Okay. We have to create some concepts. So if everyone could open the concepts node. We're going to create 3 custom concepts. So there's some. So the question is, why do we see 9 predefined concepts? Oh, they don't have it in their environment? Yeah, so there's a box we could have checked in the options for the concepts node that would have said, hey, create predefined concepts for me. There's always these 9 out-of-the-box concepts that just the software has available to go to help categorize your data. In this case, we're not going to use them. I've turned them off, actually, so they're grayed out on mine. So you should see 0 concepts, and that's okay. I'm not using those. We are going to create these custom concepts. So ensure that you have the custom concepts 0 folder left-clicked, and it's highlighted like this. Once it's highlighted, there is this little icon that looks like a piece of paper and a star. We're going to click that. It's the new concept button. So I'm going to left-click that to create a new concept. It wants me to name it. So in the spirit of this conference, we're going to look for socioeconomic topics. So go ahead and just name this something about socioeconomics. Does it have to be C underscore? No, we're not doing the flow, so it's okay. So, socioeconomic. I do have a typo. I'm definitely not a linguistics or English major. That's close enough. There we go, socioeconomic. And so now I have one custom concept called socioeconomic. It's blank. There's no Liddy code here. I have to get help writing the Liddy code. So what we're going to do is search for some of those key terms that we saw before. And we want to search for the key term about socioeconomic and have it automatically create a concept for it. So in the bottom left bucket here, there's this textual elements box. And these are all of those parsed terms that were kept. And so in the filter, I can search for socioeconomic. And I see there is one that pops up. I want to add this to my concept, so I'm going to hit the checkbox, make sure it is checked next to socioeconomic. I right-click, and the bottom option is create rule from textual elements. Anyone lost? Show of hands. Perfect. You're all brilliant. Thank you so much for sticking with us on this close to lunch block. So I click create rule. This pop-up box appears. Operator or. So if I had more than one term clicked, it would look to assign it to this category if it had one or the other. So kind of like your everyday Boolean logic. We don't have to change this. We're just going to hit OK. We want the or operator. And then you see it made the text code for us. I didn't have to learn Liddy syntax. It kind of just did it on its own, which is amazing. And so I can run this node, and then I see I don't get as many matches. I just know this because I've practiced. I can hit run node. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, yes, please run the node now. In the upper right-hand side of your screen, there's that run node box. No, it's done. So not many documents matched with this one. Interesting. At the end of the day, I want to show you is that we won't have many matches for socioeconomic because, like John said, he thinks it's a fluff word. He thinks when people use the term socioeconomic, they just think high and mighty of themselves and they want to be like, I'm smart. I know about socioeconomics. And so we're going to create two more custom concepts, one about people and one about the economy. And we will get a lot more matches in our documents. So to create your second custom concept, please ensure that you have the folder custom concepts highlighted, because if not, you're still in socioeconomic, and then you create a sub-concept of socioeconomic, and we don't want that. So crucial that you have the custom concepts highlighted and clicked on, and then we can hit that same new concept button, or even the big button in the center of our screen here, new concept. And so now we are going to name this one people. And we can search for a few different key terms that might have something to do with people or the population. So in the text elements, I'm searching for the term people. I see people noun, people verb, people proper noun. That's what PN stands for. I want to add in another one. So here's another tricky thing. I want to go search in my other thousands of words for a population now to ensure that people stays checked and highlighted. Just hit the X in the search bar and trust that it is still highlighted. If you do anything else, it might uncheck that. So I'm searching population now as another key term to add in. We've got a hand.
And if you're getting lost at this point in the searching and the checking, don't fret exactly what search terms you have. This can be choose your own adventure, right? We got all these journal articles about AI in agriculture in the Mississippi Delta. Define what socioeconomics means to you, or define another concept on your own to query these documents. That's okay.
Okay, in this case, I have people checked still, I have population checked. I can right-click on population, create new rule from textual elements. And you will see that it has created the code, and I can get a little preview of it. Population, populations, people, peoples. And I want the or operator, because as long as it includes one or the other or the other or the other, I do want it to kind of be a match. Question? The question is, will this work if you keep adding them one by one with the or operator? I will say no. It'll just kind of code over. Like, you have to have all the terms you want checked and then added back in. But you can learn the syntax and just like copy and paste it and add in your own terms. So you could get to a point where you're a little comfortable with like saying, okay, I can add in another word in the code box in the middle, so I'm not having to like search through all the key terms, if that makes sense. Okay. One more. We want to do the economy custom concept, and then we're going to do some cool thing with it. So making sure, again, custom concept is highlighted. One third concept we will create, economy. I can go through the same process of finding words I think have something to do with economy. And again, earlier using that text map network diagram we saw is a cool way of finding those related words if you just don't really know much about it. So I'm searching economy. I will also do maybe like market. Market noun. Supermarket, sure. And I will follow the same process of right-clicking, create rule from textual elements. Okay. At this point, I see that concept rule that has been created for me. I can have this refine my concept rule for me. So if I have economy clicked, I'm looking at the Liddy code that was generated. Here's a cool thing we can do. If I click on this new icon that was next to the create concept, it's this little scroll with a semicolon that I'm laser pointering.
By the way, y'all know what SAS stands for, right? Anyone?
I hear some mumbling.
Software as a service.
Yeah.
We try. Semicolons, always semicolons. No. The original acronym was Statistical Analysis System, but today we're just SAS, S-A-S.
Yeah, if you're a SAS programmer, you know those pesky semicolons. All right, so when I have my custom concept selected, I'm going to go to auto-generate concept rules. Essentially, it's going to take the concept rule I've started with and refine it. It's going to say, hey, I know a few other associated words that could strengthen your logic here. And so when I select that, I see this special little icon pop up next to economy. Once I run the node, it will appear again in my sandbox, which is this new tab up here. Right now, it's blank because I didn't run my node. But if you hit run node, it will create more code for you.
What objective?
The objective? I don't even know. What do you know?
What's a synonym for economy? Anyone? Market? What else? There could be a lot of synonyms for economy. Maybe money, maybe trade, maybe business. Those are not precise synonyms, but those are certainly related concepts that we want to capture under the veil of anything socioeconomic. And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, so you might have different kind of code that pops up for you, but I see supermarkets, I see a labor blank, so like market or economy, rapidly changing carbon markets. And again, is this perfect? Is it going to get it all right? No, that's why we kind of need to do human in the loop, making sure like, this makes no sense. Why is it regions or impact coastal economy? Maybe that's a big theme that pops up in these articles about the Mississippi Delta. But it's a cool thing. And so if I want to accept all these changes, I can hit this button up here that looks like 2 leaves of paper. That's kind of like the copy button to accept these changes. And I click that, and it moves it over to my edit concept. Yeah, so it's going to create it in the sandbox environment. We need to get it back over to the kind of main concept, like accept the changes. And then we can run node again. So if you need help, quick show of hands. No? Perfect. We're repeating this twice. Okay, John wants us to do it for all of our concepts. So see if you can remember how we did this. I go into people, this special little scroll and semicolon icon, auto-generate concept rules. And then I will repeat the process for socioeconomics. I'm going to run the node.
I'll take a minute to address. Well, let's see what's in the sandbox. Okay, nothing there. I'll pause my thoughts, but there weren't enough terms of socioeconomic in the documents to be able to flag anything there, and so, it did. No, with people. Okay, yeah, quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, so again, to copy it back over from Sandbox to edit concept, I hit that like copy button. And so now I can run my node again with my new changes. And it has changed and added all of this great Liddy code.
Another thing, right? I don't think we're going to do this on the path, but when you highlight a concept after a node has run, then you'll be able to view example documents and example contexts in the lower right-hand portion of the screen so that you can kind of check as you go, right? You don't have to get it right first time. You can play with it, dialogue with the data so that ultimately you maximize the quality of the output that you get for the time you've put into it.
All right, so socioeconomic is the one that it's kind of empty. So we have great concepts defined for people and economy. Socioeconomic is lacking a bit. So there's one thing we can do. What if we combined people and economy to make a new socioeconomic concept? So let's do that. I'm going to create a 4th concept. So again, make sure you have the custom concept folder highlighted. Hit the new concept button. And you can maybe do like socioeconomic detailed or people and money. I'm just going to name mine people _ economy. So I remember it's kind of a combination of those two. Okay. Is everyone at the point where they have a new blank custom concept before we combine these two? You're good? Okay. Awesome. So now we're going to that same semicolon scroll icon while we have people economy highlighted. This time we're hitting augment fact rules. Auto-generate fact rules. And so we're looking at all of our concepts that we have here. We want to move over people and economy. So I left click one, and in the center between these two boxes, there's an add plus button. I'll hit that to move it over to the other box. I will repeat the process with economy. So I've essentially selected these two concepts we've defined, people and economy, and I want to use this to help generate more Liddy code that combine the two, essentially. I will now hit generate rules. All right, and it gives me a little note, hey, you have to run the node before anything happens. So again, we run the node.
It's always intimidating to come across a new software, right? Even if you don't have to debug it. We haven't drawn attention to it because we've prepared this cooking show just for you. But in every screen, there's a question mark that you can hit to see what is going on in that place. Not to mention just a ton of documentation online, vetted, quality controlled, that type of thing.
Yeah, so I just hit the question mark that comes up in the edit concept box. How do I write concept rules? Concept rules are written in Liddy format. For more information, see this link here, and it'll send you to the documentation. So that's actually super helpful. You will see this scattered all throughout this software. So if you hit run, generate your fact rule, you'll see it's in the sandbox. There we go. To me, I don't really know what this code means. Something about predicate rule, combining two concepts together. Well, whatever, I trust it. So I'm gonna hit this copy over button again, move to edit concept in the top right-hand side of my sandbox. And that copies it over from the sandbox to the actual concept itself. And once again, I run my node. Fun anecdote to tell us again?
No anecdote, just the line of sight. What does this have to do with the chatbot, you may be asking yourself at this point. So to ground you in the earlier conversation we had, we are creating crisp, well-defined concepts rooted in the scientific literature to augment the prompt so that the large language model of our choice, today we're going to be sending it to ChatGPT, but a lot of our clients prefer an internal offline large language model so that we're not feeding our proprietary information to OpenAI. We're simply doing some really good prompt engineering because a question well asked is a question half answered.
With that snippet, close this node. Oh, good question or help? Help. John is coming. All right, so at this point, we're gonna close out of this node by hitting the close button. So I see I'm back in this pipeline view. There is a green check mark next to my concepts. That's what we wanna see. If you still have this kind of like open circle, you need to run your pipeline again. But now we are good, we have a green check mark. I'm gonna right click this and we wanna see results. So I'm gonna go down and hit results after I right click this node. And we get some graphs, yeah. There we go, no more text, we get graphs for you data people. So the top left graph that we're looking at here, this is the number of matches per concept. And these are the 3 concepts we created. We see people, a lot of matches, 60,000 about to be clear. We only had 147 documents, but out of all of the text in those 147 PDFs, 60,000 times some sort of synonym of people was used and mentioned. And so we also have economy, 20,000, when you combine the 2 people, and economy, 20,000. And so 20,000 instances where this socioeconomic theme was stated. And there was about 100, all documents had, this tells me, all 147 documents had at least one match. So it's somewhere in that text, it talks about this, which is good because when John went and searched Open Science to find these journals through Elsevier, he kind of used a search term that had something to do with this. So this is a good sign. But then every time we have a match, there's a snippet of that sentence or that paragraph that was then saved as a new column in our data set. And that is amazing because now we have a data set with about 20, a few thousand matches that kind of just has that snippet of information that matched that concept. And that is exactly what we've distilled down and will send to the LLM chatbot. So to look at what that looks like, when we're in the results here, I can go up and click Output Data, the Output Data tab. It might be too big to actually open. We'll see. We'll click this blue View Output Data button. And hopefully you get to see what it looks like. If not, I can open up in a different view. Yeah, so this is saying it's too big. But at this point, if you wanted to save this data to use on your own, you can hit the little floppy disk and find a place to save it. I'm not asking you all to do that today unless you really want to. And if you want a version of this data, you have our emails actually. At this point, though, I want to just take that to the LLM. So on my computer, John, wherever you put my computer, we have Jupyter Notebook code that kind of uses the OpenAI API and Python package to kind of use that to do RAG. So let's get this switched out. And so thus concludes the hands-on portion. If we all were to use this, you would need your OpenAI key and a paid account. And if you have that, I'd be happy to share the Jupyter Notebook code I have that does this next step.
Or does anyone here have access to like an offline LLM, Llama 2, Mixtral? Anyone use that? Well, one option, if you did or your organization did, is you could just simply export this data set and then import the filtered concepts, the filtered fact rules, into the prompt and query your own LLM that way. Yes. Yes. I'm not familiar with that one, but yes, the question was, can you access an offline LLM model? Is that it? From the system? Yeah, the answer is yes. And most of our industry clients, that's precisely what they do. They have an offline LLM. Llama and Mixtral seem to be the most common that I hear about, so that they're not exporting proprietary data into OpenAI. And they have another node in this pipeline that that allows them to use this natural language processing output to query that LLM. Right, and so that's what a data scientist would do to make the proprietary company information or proprietary lab information or whatever you have available to the frontline users who wouldn't be building the natural language processing but would instead be querying the system. I see a hand up. Any other hands? Welcome those. Take it away, Shelley.
Yeah. Okay, so This chunk of text on the screen, this is kind of what we just text mined. So we started with lots and lots of text from 147 scanned PDF journal articles. And we got our pickaxe and we mined away and we found socioeconomic matches, and that's what we're looking at here. I exported it as a CSV. I only got the one column I was interested in. That's that kind of the match context. And so we can kind of just scroll through these. Each line is kind of a snippet from the text. And there's a lot of stuff here. And so just know that I'm now able to use this. This is a healthy amount of data that I am able to pass to the OpenAI ChatGPT model. First, I want to show you what an not ag-informed model would tell me. So this is a Jupyter notebook. I'm so sorry it's not really pretty, but just know I asked, describe socioeconomic effects of artificial intelligence on rural people in the Mississippi Delta. Be specific and detailed. And so this is what it said to me. This is the non-ag knowledgeable, so this is without using RAG or sending it anything. I just asked it. This question we see here in blue, this is a lot of text. You know, ChatGPT sometimes likes to be really lengthy in its answers. Just kind of my initial thought of looking into this answer, it's that there's a lot of negative, mostly this is all negative. People are gonna lose their jobs, they're gonna not have AI skills, and so they won't be able to help or understand what's happening. There's gonna be more income inequality, there's gonna be less access to services like healthcare. I guess in this case, well, why is it even talking about healthcare? It's gonna improve access to healthcare and education and financial services. Okay, that's helpful, but I mean, in my case, I'm an ag researcher. I wanted to know about the ag impacts of this, and so without having a better prompt or this input information I'm giving it, it's kind of weird. What else does it say? Okay, it'll help the overall development of rural communities. And there's my answer. So, how did the ag knowledgeable chatbot work? How did it do? Employment. Again, it says, oh, we can lose manual labor, but I know a lot of folks are having trouble finding labor on their farms, so maybe that's a plus, maybe it's a minus. Skills training, access to quality education may become essential. So it's kind of looking at it in a more positive light. There's less fluff overall, I think. It will talk again about economic disparities. It could further deepen existing poverty. The social impact, just the traditions and the cultures surrounding agriculture might be lost, it says. I then asked it again, kind of every time I refresh it, I get a different response and answer. This one, again, I want to point out a lot of more positive things that are kind of, I can go back and fact check this essentially. The first response without the ag knowledge provided to it, it was just a lot of fluff, a lot of like off-topic things, but this is what I would think, especially looking at these research papers. AI can increase yield. It can improve food production, so better food security. One interesting piece is that this stuck out to me. The community is overwhelmingly Christian and racially divided, with poverty centering in the Black community and wealth disparities present. At first I thought, was this a hallucination? But then I found the actual journal article that came from. And so there was this article, More Than Meets the Eye, Organizational Capacity of Nonprofits in the Poor Rural South, that basically said just that. And so I was, okay, that made me feel a little better, that maybe my AI-informed chatbot was able to kind of point me to something more specific like that, and I can actually go back and find that PDF very easily. And I liked this one. I had this is like my more refined Jupyter notebook. It goes through the processes of the RAG that we learned in our first workshop today, like the chunking and the vectorization and whatnot. I won't go into that and bore you with the details, but I do like how in this case, the model kind of broke it up into 3 negatives and 3 positives using facts from the actual articles. And so this will probably take about 5 minutes to run, but do we want to ask it a question here, put it to the test?
I would like a volunteer to share a question about the socioeconomic effects of AI and automation in agriculture in the Mississippi Valley.
Ooh, I like that one. Yeah. So I'm going to say, using the data provided, describe techniques farmers can take to address socioeconomic impacts, or socioeconomic,
No,
no?
no. As a farmer, I'm not addressing the socioeconomic
True.
impact of anything.
Using only data provided, describe techniques farmers can take to improve profitability. That's good?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna run this code. I'm gonna choose my kernel. Oh, by the way, I'm using SAS via Workbench. So I'm coding in Python right now. I'm using a Jupyter notebook, but this is SAS via, which is that same nice fancy platform you looked at. I threw around some big words like Kubernetes and working nodes. That's essentially just means that it's not using your computer to run this code. It's using the cloud. So we're paying for servers somewhere else to kind of work as these big worker horses to get this work done, not on your local machine, not using your CPUs or GPUs. It's in the cloud. And so I am being able to access into the SAS via cloud and that architecture using Jupyter Notebook, and I'm in Visual Studio Code now. I could also use Jupyter Labs. Essentially, my environment of choice to either use SAS code or Python code will soon be onboarded onto this to kind of get stuff done. A question?
So I mentioned this part of the slide of hand that received.
Yeah.
I didn't see that you marked, say, income or cost for that concept.
Yes.
They were on the list.
Yeah.
I poked around and found them.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have it. So is it fair to say that the result of what is about to happen is more likely to, say, hallucinate because we're really asking more of the length of exam did talk about income
Yeah.
costs that if we have created those concepts and put them in place.
Ooh, so the question is, we were limited on what concepts we put in there. We only had those 3, and at the end we just looked at socioeconomic. Is it more likely to hallucinate now because we didn't get as in-depth with that concept creation? Well, what are we comparing it to? If we were to do an LLM without using RAG at all, just I'm asking ChatGPT, and that's this notebook here. I'm just using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo to answer this question. This is more likely to hallucinate. It is just using all the data it's been trained on. It has only been trained up to data up to a certain point. It might not have access to the groundbreaking PDF research article that we downloaded from last week and were able to give to it. By taking its baseline of knowledge that it's already pre-trained on and then adding what we did add to it will only strengthen the non-hallucination ability of the model, if that makes sense. What do you say, John?
Exactly.
Exactly that, okay. Yeah, that's our hypothesis. That's what we're trying to prove to you, that by RAG in general has been known to reduce hallucinations. Is there always room for improvement? Absolutely, yes. We can always go back and do a lot more time in the text mining process. But I just want to point that y'all did a lot of work in 50 minutes. And I know you didn't see that segue path of how did we get there to here to there. Save the output data. I saved it as a CSV. I just kept the column that I wanted with the matches. And that's what I'm feeding over to it. Oh, it answered. All right. Oh, wait, no. I'm on the wrong one. It's still running. Yeah, so we're at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. I find this takes about 5 minutes to run.
I'll go through my internal retrieval process to generate an augmented answer, if that's okay. No one got that. RAG, retrieval augmented generation. You know, you can never get anything right, like truly of high quality on the first time, right? And so the important thing that I've found and that we've found is that for organizations to actually make an impact using their frontline skilled workers who know the data best, who know the business problem the best, but don't necessarily know how to code, don't necessarily know how to fire up a Jupyter notebook, call an API, put it all into Kubernetes clusters to run really fast, but they know the question to ask, right? Notice that we asked a very well-defined question in 50 minutes time today. And it wasn't 5 months, it wasn't 5 years, and it's certainly not millions and millions of dollars, okay? And so we are able to peer in and say, no, that's wrong, let's look at it another way. And we didn't get distracted going down rabbit holes because we were able to get something to show for ourselves in that short amount of time. And if we want to go and create a new concept, create it in a different way, we can just redo it at no cost. It's okay. Trial and error. It's what works.
All right. We should be getting an answer here shortly, but I'd love to answer any more questions. And I'm trying to pull up the online link. Did we lose the chat? Have you been monitoring the online chat? Okay, awesome. Yes. So the question is, in theory, are you supposed to create more concepts? You can if you want. So with the concepts, it's kind of, imagine we're taking these categories and we're able to find these matches of where these key terms happen, and that's what we're passing on to ChatGPT or your LLM of choice. You can always create new and different concepts, and essentially we're going to filter by concept. So that way, if I'm asking, let's say I had a concept about soil health, and if I want to ask ChatGPT a specific question on soil health, I don't need to send over all the socioeconomic stuff. I will have in my code, choose just this concept for this concept, soil health, send just the matches over. And so essentially that is what we do with the offline LLM integration. We actually have a really cool SAS like custom step that does it. It wasn't ready to show today with this many people in the audience. Our offline LLM server is not that big. It would have crashed and burned if like 3 people simultaneously tried to do it, because we're not going to pay to have a huge llama offline LLM. Yeah, I mean, maybe our team will. But yes, we'd welcome any more questions. I know we're at the end of time. Yeah, perfect time. Yes.
So let's say we create, we have different sources of data,
Mm-hmm.
so for each instance of different, maybe the whole different concept, that one is for economics.
Yeah.
It could be something else. So for each and every one, we need to have a different instance of an LLA model.
Ooh.
Like right now, we're using OpenAI.
Yes.
Let's say I'm using the different version.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a different instance, I need to use a different instance of the model.
Yeah.
And we got it from it takes like 5 minutes to get a response.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to go through that time for a user to wait for the response
Yes.
for one model if they have
Yes. Yeah, good point. So with my very basic plan with OpenAI, I get very slow response rates, and they're kind of limiting to how fast my token transfer is happening. So if we were to actually create an app for farmers, yeah, 5 minutes is way too long. I would never put this into production. I would pay to have a better access to LLM, essentially. Like, I'd improve this API for sure. But just for the small membership I have with OpenAI, I'm not going to pay to increase this. But yes, you're exactly right. Yeah. All right. I'm afraid this isn't going to give us an answer in time, but yeah, we're being rushed off the stage.
Dr. Landivar, we'll get back to you with the answer.